So what would it be like to have an endless supply of leads coming into your business? Okay, that may not be the reality, but if you're anything like me, you've experienced the same challenge that most businesses face around the world, and it's generating more leads, filling the top of your sales pipeline. And so what I wanted to do over the course of a 5 video series is help you to fuel new business with grit, grace, and genius, ultimately accomplishing the goal of relentlessly generating more leads for your business. This practice, these 5 practices apply to any single business that you are in, whether you are an entrepreneur selling a service or you are a massive corporation that's selling a widget. It really doesn't matter. Generating leads all comes down to some simple fundamental practices that we should all be following. There are a lot of other opportunities out there with tools, with hacks, tips, technology that can all benefit this process. But at the end of the day, these 5 things are fundamental to you achieving the success that you desire, which is ultimately generating enough revenue to make you happy, to put money in your pocket, and to continue to fuel that business that you are in love with. So what I want to do is I want to lay out the 5 strategies or the 5 areas I'm going to be covering over the next 5 videos. And then we're going to dig into number 1 today. The first one is going to be mastering the art of prospecting. 2 is going to be understanding your target market. 3 will be creating an effective sales pitch. 4 will be persistence and effective follow-up. And 5 is going to be building strong relationships. Now, don't lose me here. You may have heard those terms and said to yourself, Ryan, those things are so simple. And I would agree with you. The idea of each one of those is so incredibly simple, but putting them into practice and executing on them consistently is not simple. So with each one of them, I'm going to talk about the challenge that we're facing in that area. I'm going to break it down and why it's a challenge. I'm going to talk about overcoming the challenge. And then I'm going to offer you a takeaway and an action item. So I'm going to try and make these short, sweet, and to the point, but let's dig into this first area of mastering prospecting. What's the challenge? Well, the challenge is not having enough prospects at the top of our funnel, not enough prospects in our pipeline. It's a challenge that you and I face. I mean, this is why organizations as large as Apple spend billions of dollars on advertising, is because they are trying to solve for that same problem. They feel as though part of their strategy is spending enough money to continue to create awareness in order that you and I will buy the next version of the iPhone or the MacBook or whatever else, the Vision Pro goggles, whatever else they're trying to sell. Anyway, so the challenge is we lack enough prospects. We're not doing enough prospecting. Okay, let's talk about why this is a challenge. This is a challenge, I believe, because this is something that we would rather have done for us than us doing for ourselves. I think that we are looking for easy ways out. We are looking for more convenient ways to generate leads. And I'm not saying that it's not wise to do that, but you cannot expect, I hear so many salespeople say that they survive or they thrive off of inbound referrals. And what most salespeople mean, especially those career salespeople that talk about that, is they have survived, not thrived, they have survived off of waiting for people to bring business to them. And again, if you got that, do that. But most of us cannot rely on that as a sole source of prospect generation, of sales creation. And so you need to have other strategies in place. The other reason why I believe this is such a challenge for us is because it is freaking hard. It is not easy to consistently pursue prospects. It's not easy to target the right types of prospects. It is not easy to make the progress that we desire to make in order to sustain the hard days. And so we do everything we can to avoid it. Even if we believe deep down in our heart that we need to do it, it's still so hard to do it sometimes. So I want to talk about a couple of ways. Again, this is more of the overlay. Each one of the next 4 in this series will break these things down further. But I want to talk about some ways that you can overcome this challenge. So, number one, if you want to overcome the challenge of prospecting, I would say make sure that you are leveraging the network you have. Every single one of us has a network. We have friends, we have family, we have people that we know that we could consistently connect with to talk about business with. We don't necessarily have to sell to them. We can sell through them. But if we're regularly talking about our business with the people that are closest to us, they may give us opportunities or they may refer us to opportunities, introducing us to other people that can create opportunities for us. So leverage your network. I would say that we can never spend too much time building out a valuable network, not just a group of people that all knows us or that we hang around, but we can never spend enough time building a valuable network. So if you want to get better at prospecting, if you want to fill the top of that funnel, build out that pipeline, I would say that you need to focus on building out that network, reaching out to the people that are close to you, building those relationships, being a valuable resource and a connection, something like what The Go-Giver, the book The Go-Giver by Bob Burg talks about. You just want to make sure that you are consistently doing that. Okay, another thing is make sure that you are managing your time effectively. This is another challenge that I see lots of sales professionals face. They actually do block out the time on their calendar, but then they allow other things to creep or completely overtake that time on their calendar. We'll get to preparation of that in just a second. But if you are blocking time out on your calendar and you are regularly creeping into or completely taking that time back away because something else comes up, you need to refocus your efforts and be more intentional with your time. If you had a 1 hour time blocked out for a meeting with a client or a prospect, you would never allow something else to creep in on that other than an act of God or an emergency in your family. So why are you allowing other things to creep into your prospecting time? You need to respect your own time as much as you respect other people's time. Hopefully you respect time. Another thing there around time management and planning and productivity is you have to be intentional about your time, which means you have to know what you're going to do with the time that you're allocating. Just because you block out an hour doesn't mean that you're going to do anything with it if you don't have a plan in place. You need to know who to talk to and what you're going to say and when you're going to say it. That way, when that time comes up on your calendar, you can actually do it. Another thing, leverage social media. Business platforms like LinkedIn for most of us B2B people, some of us B2C people, and then even Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Those are all great places to reach your target market, so long as you are leveraging those platforms appropriately. If you are just going there to spend time, be around a bunch of your friends that are also there, cheer them on, like each other's posts, rah, 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 that doesn't mean a damn thing. You got to make sure that you are in the places that your target market is and you have an engagement strategy in place to connect with them on a regular basis. And lastly, this goes back to the beginning of networking. When it comes to networking, I would say if you're going to network, if you're going to go to associations, groups, whatever, professional meetings, go in with a plan, execute on that plan, and measure the result. So you should go in with the intention of meeting specific types of people or meeting a specific person. And that should be the objective. And then from there, the goal should be to take that introduction, that engagement outside of that networking event to have another meeting, to be more specific about what you do, what you're looking for. And if you want to return value to them, you should do that too. But you have to have intention when you network. Too often people just show up, they make a bunch of conversation, and then they come back and they really have nothing to show for it other than a bunch of conversation. Be intentional when you network. Okay, so the big takeaway here in the midst of all of this for you as I begin to land this plane is make sure that you are maintaining a healthy pipeline. If you're not maintaining a healthy pipeline, which means you have enough in your pipeline to more than generate the revenue needed to achieve the goals that you have for yourself, you need to focus more on the activities that I talked about to maintain that healthy pipeline. Because if you're not maintaining a healthy pipeline, you don't have enough prospects. It just goes without saying. So Here is my challenge to you, my big takeaway. And again, don't miss out on the next 4 videos in this series. Especially, we're going to talk in the next video about understanding target market. How can you build a healthy pipeline if you don't know who you're building it with? Because you don't just sell to anybody or everybody or all the people. You should be focusing on a niche group of people. Niches produce riches. You got to remember that. Okay, so make sure that you come back, subscribe to the channel, make sure that you come back for the next video in this series. But an action item for you here, something that you can walk away with and you can begin to apply, is go back to what I talked about when it comes to overcoming those challenges. So maybe you need to do better with time management. Maybe you need to better understand your target market, even though we haven't talked about that. Maybe you need to leverage social media in a more effective way. Maybe you need to be more intentional with your networking. Maybe you need to leverage your existing network. Whatever it is, I want you to identify one specific area that you can focus on this next week, these next 2 weeks for prospecting. And I want you to be intentional about applying yourself to those areas. So again, be intentional about one area of prospecting over the next 2 weeks and see what that does to help you be on your way to filling that pipeline. Again, like, share, subscribe. Make sure that you tune in as we talk in the next video about understanding your target market. That's going to be incredibly important if you want to be relentless in the way that you generate leads and you want a full pipeline. Thanks so much. Talk to you guys soon.